It's official. Trump just made history with surprising record he set that Obama could never do. We know the media lies to us, that's a given. And we know that they can make things look good when they're actually bad. Case in point, the losing presidential candidate Clinton 2.0. It's kind of part of the job when you're on camera to make things look better, but is there a chance that they're making things look worse? I don't mean a specific person or thing, I mean is there a chance that they're attempting to influence the actual economy by artificially darkening the landscape for the general population? We know that the mainstream media hates President Trump, but it's yet to be seen just how much damage they're willing to do to the rest of America in order to take him down. But by all accounts, it looks to be a pretty high threshold. Because of the unreliable nature of the reporting system in America, a few of our friends over at Breitbart News decided to check into what the actual number were regarding the public opinion about President Trump and his effect on the country in general and the economy and housing markets specifically. Turns out he's kinda killing it when it comes to economic growth, and not the kind of killing it that Obama did, either. Via Breitbart News. Would you believe that America is experiencing a new era of good feelings? While America seems bitterly divided over many political questions, the rising tide of economic good feelings that swept America in the wake of the election of President Donald Trump shows no signs of abating. And there is widespread agreement among Americans that the Trump administration deserves credit for America's economy. The latest CNBC All-American survey finds that 30% of the public are both optimistic about the economy now and for the future, the second quarter in a row that present-future optimism scored so high. That's the highest reading in the survey's 10-year history. The previous high of 23% was hit in the March 2015 and December 2014 surveys. Optimism about the future remains very high. 38% say the economy will get better in the next year. That's down from 40% in April and 42% in December, suggesting some of the post-election optimism is slipping. But it is well above the 25% registered in October, prior to the presidential election. It remains higher than any point since December 2009, when America was in the throes of the Great Recession. Similarly, the post-election surge of positive feelings about the current state of the economy has continued. Prior to the election, just 23% of Americans rated the economy good. That number rose to 31% in the December survey, to 36% in the April survey, and held steady at 35% in the latest survey. Those post-election numbers are the highest ever recorded in the survey. Far fewer Americans rate the current state of the economy as poor. In the pre-election survey, 30% gave the economy a poor rating, a result largely consistent with those throughout the Obama administration. That number fell to 23% in December, fell again to 17% in April. In the latest results, just 16% give the economy a poor rating. The number of Americans who say the economy will get worse in the next year has grown since the election but is not much higher than it was for almost all of the Obama administration. In the latest survey, 29% of Americans were pessimistic about the economy, up from 26% in April and 23% in December. Just prior to the election, this number had fallen to 20% thanks to a record high number of Americans, 23%, saying they weren't sure what the next year held. The current level of pessimism about the future is hardly unusual. Prior to the election year rise in uncertainty about the future, the first time ever that the not sure response rose to double digits, the average level of pessimism since 2008 has been 29%. A close reading of the survey reveals that the Trump administration's economic populism may be afflicting some pessimism on the well-off. Those who give current economic conditions high marks now but pessimistic about the future has risen to 7%. Prior to the election, this number was rarely more than 1 or 2%. Immediately following the election, it had surged to 10%. While many political pundits and economic pundits have insisted that credit for improving economic conditions belongs to Barack Obama or the normal, sick, turning of the business cycle, few Americans agree. In fact, there is broad agreement that the Trump administration's policies deserve credit. Among Americans who say the economy will improve over the next year, 65% credit Trump's policies. Among those who say it will get worse, 75% credit Trump's policies. The share of employed Americans who expect their wages will rise over the next year climbed to 44%, the highest level of optimism since February of 2008. 11% of Americans expect a raise of 11% or more, in keeping with the post-election surge in wage optimism that saw this measure rise from 7% in September to 15% in December. In other words, if you think we are living in a time of disorder and uncertainty, you may be getting misled by all the headlines about political chaos in Washington, D.C. Americans' optimism is running very high on everything from the broad economy to wages to home prices to the stock market. Feeling better yet?